communicator manual, get comfortable with the visual aids. She is preparing for a speech she'll give at the Project Management Institute monthly meeting on a real-world project. Heidi Yeager has been a project manager in health information technology for 13 years. Prior to that, she was a health program manager in a myriad of organizations, including Planned Parenthood clinics, public health, career research, and even veterinary practice. Heidi is currently working at Intermountain Healthcare as a project management consultant in the teleservice division. She also serves on a Summit County board of health and play therapeutic hospice patients. The project she'll be telling us about today is the IC3 Beacon project she managed from 2010 through 2013. Let's welcome Heidi.
We'll take a second. And I have to get out of the way. Yeah. Oh, thank you. It's very slow, that response. Very gradual. The project I would like to tell you about today that I worked on for 3 years was the IC3 Beacon Project. IC3 stands for Improving Care Through Connectivity and Collaboration. There were 4 goals to this project. The first one was to improve the health of 25,000 patients with diabetes type 2 in 3 counties in Utah. The second was to reduce the cost of that care. The third, create an electronic registry for patients at the end of life to record their wishes for medical intervention. And the fourth was to create an electronic means to manage the reporting of public health diseases. Briefly, I want to let you know why these projects were so important. Diabetes type 2 is epidemic in this country. 10% of the population has it. Half of those people are being medically managed to some degree. Half of them are not being managed well. It's costing $245 million a year to manage that disease in this country, and that cost goes up every single year. The American Diabetes Association estimates that if things don't change by 2050, 1 out of 3 adults in this country will have diabetes type 2. The End of Life project is important, and I just want to tell you a brief story to show you why. Even people at the end of life who've had the foresight to do their advance directives and let their families know what it is they want to have happen. And typically, they want a do not resuscitate order and to be allowed to die naturally. What happens, though, in the case of a woman in Salt Lake, she was 83 years old. She had end-stage cancer. She knew she was going to die. She had signed a DNR. She had signed her advance directive. She had signed a pulse form. She had done everything right. She wanted to go to church one Sunday. Her family didn't want to go with her, so they dropped her off, and she was sitting there, and she collapsed. She didn't have her DNR orders taped to her chest. So, of course, the congregation called the ambulance, the paramedics came out, and they had to do what they have to do. Their protocol is, unless there are orders, written orders that they can see, they will do everything in their power to resuscitate you. And that poor woman, against her wishes, although she was unable to speak, was in fact revived. Not back to where she was, of course. She's in a vegetative state, and who knows how long she will remain that way. And sadly, that is not atypical. People just don't always die in the hospital. So the project we had was to create a registry that could be accessed via the web, even with a cell phone. So the EMTs, on their way out to a call, can look up this person and see right there on their phone, do not resuscitate. We can turn off the sirens. They're still going to show up. They're still going to go and console the family. They're going to make all the right phone calls. But now they don't have to play God. And you can't imagine what a relief it is to those people. The fourth project had to do with electronic public health reporting. Believe it or not, in this technological age, public health reporting is done with paper and faxes. And sometimes there is a 2-week lag between a positive lab result and somebody from the public health department following up and intervening, providing treatment, quarantining that individual. And we are talking about some very nasty diseases none of us want. Hepatitis, tuberculosis, yellow fever, bubonic plague. This is bad stuff. So the faster an intervention can be started, the better protected the public is. There we go. This project, from a project management perspective, had a lot of risks. The first one was we had a whole lot of organizations and people involved in this, and they all had their own agendas, their own priorities, and their own corporate cultures. And this is a list of the big players. Health Insight was the company who hired me. They're a nonprofit organization involved in quality improvement in healthcare. They were the prime funder. They got the money and then distributed to others. The State Department of Health, Utah Health Information Network, University of Utah, Intermountain Healthcare, the ONC, that was the federal agency that passed through the funds and watched us very carefully and how we spent them. 30-plus independent primary care clinical practices in those 3 counties were involved. And of course, the 25,000-plus patients. And everybody had a vested interest in this project. The scope was way too broad. We had 8 outcome measures we were trying to impact, and 3 of them had to do with the patient's actual lab results for blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar. So they had to be involved in this project. We didn't really have any good reliable data to start. We thought we did when we started the project. We identified a number of databases and sources for data, and people said, oh yeah, not a problem, we can get this for you. The truth was, no, they couldn't. Some of those databases were simply in somebody's imagination. Others, we couldn't access the data, and still others, the data was unusable in the format that it was available. The company of Health Insight had only ever worked on one federal project before, and their entire accounting system was set up for that project. They had no way to track this. And we were talking $15 million that had to be tracked pretty rigorously. We ended up doing it manually. This was a very highly political environment. This was essentially Obamacare in action. Our goal was to prove that with technology and good processes, we could deliver better health care in this country at a reduced cost. And you can imagine there were some people who were not minded to see us fail. The schedule was absolutely insane. 3 years to accomplish all these goals was totally unrealistic. So to mitigate those risks, we split the project into 5 sub-projects, assigned accountable owners, and set up a deliverable schedule. We beaconized our participants by converting them to the cause. Most of those people you saw signed up for this project for the money. It took more than that to succeed. They had to really embrace the philosophy and the goals of this project. And the ones that were successful, that's exactly what they did. The money was secondary. For those of you in software development, you're familiar with the term stand-up meetings and scrums. Essentially, that is holding those owners accountable for what they are supposed to do. We would meet as a group on a regular basis, and people were expected to stand and deliver. What did you do last week? What are you going to do next week? And are you having any problems? And after a while, it gets extremely embarrassing if you're the person who week after week stands up and says, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Sorry. It's very motivating. We were incredibly transparent. We shared all of our successes and we shared all of our failures as we went along in this project because it was an education. We leveraged the existing technologies we had because that's all we had. Developed reporting tools that met our stakeholders' goals and objectives, and always had a plan B. So what happened? Remember, these were the goals. Goal 1, we actually did it. We met our objective. We improved all of those outcome measures across that patient population. I don't think anyone was more surprised than me. The second goal was reduce the cost. Don't know, never could get the data. It's available, but for a variety of reasons, we could never map together the cost savings or that kind of utilization of healthcare by the people involved in the study. Third goal, yes, we did create an electronic registry for patients at the end of life. It's called ePulsed. And fourth, we created an electronic means to manage reporting of public health conditions. We got it as far as test. I don't think it's ever gotten much beyond that. I am out of time, but if you would like more information about this project, I do have books that I would be happy to give to anybody. We published these, and there's a lot of detail in there. Help yourself, I really do mean that. There are YouTube videos, video videos out there. Search on IC3 Beacon, and you're welcome to contact me, and we'll talk. Thank you. Yes.
While Rachel is setting up, if you can take a moment to send Heidi some notes. Have you thought about what you live by, your personal values? I'm going to give you 5 steps how to define your personal values. I mentioned one thing already. Stop and take time out to think. Stop and take time out to think. We're so busy, we don't think about this. Consider whether you are happy with your existing personal values. Cheryl mentioned relationship. How awesome is that? And she lives by. Think about those. What are you living by? Consider the types of personal values that many people consider to be worthwhile. A lot of values you live by, it might not be worthy. Or next thing is clarify your most significant values and exercise them and implement into your daily lives. I have 3 values, my life values. I did share this with earlier actually. One is my integrity. I act with the integrity. I keep my words. I say I'll be a TM. I am here. Is it prepared or not? I'll do when I say I'm going to do. Second of my value is the growth. I embrace continuous learning and change. I am here because I'm learning and growing with you. Third, my value is justice. I am just people. I fair to everyone. I don't treat because either you are Korean or you are American. I am treat everyone equally. No further ado, I'd like to introduce our third speaker, Rachel. Rachel is a student of